I'm taking control of my life.
This exclusion, friends claim, bred tension within the family itself. Behind the scenes, the Slaton household was far from the close-knit unit portrayed on television. According to insiders, Amy and Tammy, accustomed to being the stars, resisted Misty's efforts to claim a larger share of the spotlight or the profits. They were protective of their roles, understanding that their own value to the network depended on being the center of attention. In this context, Misty's attempts to assert her rights, to demand recognition, to seek financial equity were not just ignored but actively opposed. The sisters who once shared childhood memories and leaned on one another for support allegedly became gatekeepers, deciding who would be visible and who would remain invisible, who would profit and who would not. For Misty, this betrayal was perhaps the deepest cut, to realize that not only the network but her own blood had conspired, whether consciously or not, to keep her in the shadows. The situation becomes even more troubling when one considers Misty's health struggles, which insiders say are every bit as serious as those of her sisters. While Amy and Tammy's hospital stays, surgeries, and medical emergencies became focal points of the show, earning sympathy from audiences and keeping viewers engaged, Misty's own battles were reportedly dismissed as not dramatic enough. Friends reveal that Misty has dealt with significant weight-related complications, cardiovascular stress, and metabolic issues that required hospital visits, treatments, and painful lifestyle adjustments. She allegedly approached TLC producers multiple times with the hope of documenting her journey, not for fame but to show viewers that she too was struggling, that health issues were not confined to the sisters featured on screen. Her proposals were rejected, sometimes with cruel bluntness. Audiences won't relate, she was allegedly told. It's not dramatic enough. The emotional toll of that rejection is difficult to quantify. To have one's survival, one's most personal and painful health battles, dismissed as unworthy of broadcast is a profound betrayal. Misty, already excluded from financial opportunities and narrative recognition, now faced the added indignity of having her suffering deemed unprofitable. Her sisters' hospital stays were transformed into story arcs that generated ratings and sympathy, while her own were erased from existence. It is hard to imagine a more devastating double standard, to fight for one's health in silence while watching others receive applause, concern, and financial reward for the very same struggles. Friends say Misty often expressed the sense that she felt invisible in her own life story, her existence edited out of both the family's narrative and the public consciousness. What makes the situation all the more insidious is the complicity of her sisters in this erasure. According to insiders, Amy and Tammy were fully aware of Misty's health challenges, yet did little to advocate for her inclusion in the show's storylines. By keeping the focus on themselves, they maintained their positions as the central figures, ensuring that the show's profits and opportunities flowed primarily to them. This silence, this failure to stand up for Misty, has been described by friends as a silent betrayal, a form of neglect that cuts even deeper because it comes not from strangers but from family. The network may have made the final decisions, but the sisters, insiders claim, played along, accepting and even benefiting from Misty's exclusion. Where journalists chased shadows of the story and gossip bloggers exaggerated details until rumor and reality were indistinguishable, yet even in that haze certain truths gleamed sharp as glass, truths whispered by crew members who claimed they had seen producers encourage Tammy to lose her temper, who had watched directors coax Amy into emotional breakdowns with loaded questions, who confessed that ambulances had been delayed so that cameras could capture just enough panic before the medical professionals took over, and though such accounts were anonymous and unverified, they carried the ring of plausibility because fans had long sensed that the show thrived not on progress but on collapse, on Tammy's explosive rages, Amy's sobs, Amanda's confrontations, Chris's sarcastic asides, and so every leak only confirmed suspicions, every supposed revelation only hardened the belief that the Slatons had been chewed up by a machine that valued ratings above humanity, and as legal filings began to surface in obscure dockets, cited by eagle-eyed fans trawling court records, the momentum grew unstoppable, until the whispers of a lawsuit solidified into a tangible expectation, as though the gavel had already fallen and the trial was imminent. And in that feverish atmosphere even the smallest gesture took on outsized meaning. Tammy walking into a building that resembled a courthouse was dissected frame by frame. Amy's decision to skip a TLC promotional event became evidence of defiance. Amanda's silence on social media was read as strategy, Chris's cryptic jokes interpreted as inside knowledge, and slowly the drama mutated from entertainment into obsession, viewers no longer satisfied with episodes of £1,000 Sisters but ravenous for real-world scandal, for the promise that the carefully curated facade of TLC might be torn away in a spectacular courtroom showdown, and yet behind the curtain the sisters were not so much strategists as survivors, struggling to endure the onslaught, their days consumed with lawyer meetings, sleepless nights, and tense family discussions about whether to push forward or retreat, because they knew the stakes were enormous, that TLC's legal team was armed with endless resources, that the network would fight tooth and nail to protect not only its reputation but the precedent such a case might set, for if Tammy and Amy won, if footage was unsealed and exploitation proven, then dozens of other reality stars could follow, a tidal wave of litigation that could bankrupt the very empire that had turned humiliation into primetime currency, and so every decision weighed heavy, every word measured, every social media post scrutinized, and yet despite the pressure the sisters found solace in each other, Tammy reminding Amy that they had survived worse, Amy promising Tammy that no matter how ugly it got they would not let the network rewrite their story, their unity a flickering light in the storm, and it was that light that inspired fans who declared themselves the #Slaton Army, who organized online fundraisers to support legal costs, who flooded TLC's comment sections with demands for justice, who transformed the lawsuit into a cause larger than the sisters themselves, a referendum on reality television's exploitation of vulnerable people, and as mainstream media outlets finally caught wind of the frenzy, publishing long features about the alleged case, interviewing legal experts about contracts and labor laws, the Slatons found themselves unwilling revolutionaries, their personal struggles now a symbol of systemic abuse, and though they had not asked for the mantle, they carried it nonetheless, each appearance in public greeted by paparazzi flashes, each statement dissected for hidden meaning, until the line between their real lives and the fictionalized narrative imposed upon them blurred so completely that even Tammy and Amy sometimes wondered who they truly were outside the lens, outside the contracts, outside the endless noise, and still the storm gathered, building toward the inevitable clash, the trial that fans imagined in cinematic detail, with Tammy wheeled into court flanked by lawyers, Amy clutching documents, Amanda glaring from the gallery, TLC executives sweating under cross-examination, uncut footage projected onto courtroom screens as gasps rippled through the crowd, and though none of it had yet happened, the sheer collective belief in its coming gave it a strange gravity, as if by sheer force of attention the fandom could manifest the scandal into reality, and in that surreal moment the Slatons became both participants and prisoners, swept along by a narrative they no longer controlled, their faces splashed across tabloids, their names trending daily, their family dinners interrupted by strangers asking about the case, and the weight of expectation crushed down until Tammy confessed privately to friends that she sometimes longed for anonymity again. While Amy admitted she feared what would happen to her children if the circus never ended, but even those confessions leaked, twisted into headlines, recycled into content, until the sisters realized that no matter what they said or did, the machine would grind forward, the story would expand, the lawsuit would grow in legend until it consumed everything, and so they steeled themselves, deciding that if the world insisted on a show, then at least they would fight to script the ending themselves. To reclaim the dignity stripped from them piece by piece, to stand in court not just as reality stars but as women demanding justice, and that resolve carried them forward even as the walls closed in, even as TLC doubled down with threats and offers, even as executives whispered about blacklisting, because deep down the sisters understood that this was no longer just about them, no longer just about a contract or a paycheck, but about drawing a line in the sand for everyone who had been chewed up and spat out by the ruthless machinery of reality TV, and though the outcome was uncertain, though the risks were terrifying, Tammy and Amy knew there was no turning back, because once you've seen the strings, you can never again be content to be a puppet. TLC acted swiftly after Alexei Brock's arrest, immediately pulling all upcoming promotional material featuring the couple and instructing social media teams to go silent on them until further notice. Lawyers were brought in to review contracts and determine if the network could legally sever ties, concerned not just about public backlash but also liability. If Alexei were convicted of drug-related crimes, TLC risked being accused of glorifying or covering up behavior beyond their control. This decision wasn't solely about ratings, it was about survival in a cutthroat industry where reputations are fragile and scandals spread rapidly. Behind closed doors, heated debates unfolded. Some executives pushed to support Lauren by keeping her story on air, emphasizing her role as a victim and the sympathy fans felt for her innocence. Others argued that the shadow cast by Alexei's arrest was too damaging, insisting that continuing to feature the couple could irreparably harm the network's image. Meanwhile, Darcy Silver has shocked fans with her latest dramatic cosmetic surgery, revealing a drastically changed face that has ignited widespread concern and debate across social media and reality TV circles. Known for her emotional journey and tumultuous relationships on 90 Day Fiancé, before the 90 Days, Darcy has openly discussed her struggles with self-esteem and her pursuit of beauty through numerous cosmetic procedures. However, this newest transformation has left many viewers struggling to recognize her, describing her appearance as unnatural and unsettling. Alongside her twin sister Stacey, Darcy has built a brand centered on her bold personality and constant reinvention, but this recent change has sparked conversations about the intense pressures celebrities face to maintain youth and perfection in an unforgiving industry. Fans and critics alike have expressed concern over the emotional and physical toll such extreme makeovers can take, questioning whether the pursuit of an idealized image is worth the risks. Darcy's story reflects a deeper cultural issue surrounding beauty standards, identity, and the often painful costs of fame, prompting important discussions about self-acceptance and the true price of chasing perfection in today's celebrity culture. TLC acted quickly after Alexei Brock's arrest, pulling all upcoming promotional materials featuring the couple and instructing social media teams to remain silent about them until further notice. Lawyers reviewed contracts to determine if the network could legally sever ties, concerned not only about public backlash but also potential liability. If Alexei were convicted of drug-related crimes, TLC risked accusations of glorifying or covering up behavior beyond their control. This decision was about more than ratings, it was about protecting the network's fragile reputation in a competitive industry where scandals spread rapidly. Behind the Darcy Silver has left fans utterly speechless following her most recent cosmetic surgery, unveiling a dramatically changed face that has sparked shock, fear, and intense debate across the reality TV world. Known for her turbulent romantic life and explosive moments on 90 Day Fiancé, before the 90 Days, Darcy's latest transformation shifts the focus squarely onto her appearance rather than her relationships. Millions have watched her journey, captivated by her bold personality and the dynamic